It's time for Windows Weekly, episode 162. Today we talk about why Paul will not be buying an iPhone, and we blow the vuvuzela. Yes, it's the vuvuzela-powered Windows Weekly. Next, stay tuned.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for Windows Weekly is provided by Cachefly at CACHEFLY.com. This is Windows Weekly with Paul Thurrott, episode 162, recorded June 24th, 2010. Geeks who love too much. Windows Weekly is brought to you by Squarespace.com, the fast and easy way to publish a high-quality website or blog. For a free trial and 10% off your new account, go to squarespace.com/windows. And by Carbonite Pro. With prices starting at $10 a month, all of your Office PCs can be backed up safely and automatically with Carbonite Pro. For a free trial and to learn more, visit carbonitepro.com. And by Audible.com. If you haven't tried Audible yet, download a free audiobook. You don't even need a credit card. Now through July 2nd, go to audible.com/summer. It's time for Windows Weekly, the show that covers Microsoft in all of its various guises.
Why does every one of your introductions sound like you're introducing the devil?
Yes.
You know, he goes by many names.
His name is Legion.
Last seen on the foot of a mountain, trying to convince Christ to do something. God.
Take this cup from me, Paul Thurrott. Paul Thurrott is the editor-in-chief of the SuperSite for Windows, winsupersite.com. He is also the news editor for Windows IT Pro, the author of many, many books, including Delphi 6 Basics and, no. What was the name of the Delphi book? That was your first book.
Delphi 3 Super Bible.
The Delphi 3 Super Bible.
It was 32 bits.
And most recently, Windows 7 Secrets and the soon-to-appear Windows Phone Secrets. Hello, Paul.
Hello,
you
sir.
slept in this morning.
I did.
You set the alarm for 5 a.m.
Yep.
You did all that was necessary to have an iPhone
I had one
waiting
on
for
pre-order, and it was really there. It was coming.
yet, you declined.
I did.
Why?
It's just a matter of timing. You know, I think sometime in the next 30 days or so, if everything goes as it should, I should have a Windows Phone, and then I intend to be on Windows Phone going forward. And spending $500, which is what it would cost for me to upgrade right now, for something that's, you know, nicer and shinier and faster than what I have, but otherwise exactly the same. I don't know. It just didn't seem like a good way to spend money.
Okay, here's the real question, because you and I, we're in a weird boat because you have to have a Windows Phone, I have to have an iPhone.
But I don't. See, I would say I do to write the book. I mean, I could get a Windows Phone to write the book and never use it again, I guess.
But that would be hypocritical.
Well, it may be whatever it is. I mean, if I didn't feel Windows Phone was any good, maybe I would do that. But the truth is, having seen Windows Phone, I do fully intend to use it going forward, and I can't wait to have one. I'm very excited to get one. And for all this stuff that's coming out about the iPhone, which is excellent, and I don't want anyone to misconstrue why I'm not getting the iPhone. I think the iPhone 4 is fantastic. Or all the good stuff around Android, which also is very, very interesting to me. For me personally, I still feel that Windows Phone is the one that I want. And it's not just because I write about Windows. I mean, if that was the case, I'd be...
Well, that was my question. So if you were a citizen on the street, a normal person, you would still be...
Right. So as a tech enthusiast, which I think I would be, I know I would be, regardless, I would have to say by this point in time, all other things being equal, I probably would have gone with an Android device by now, because it seems to me like that's where it's at as far as... very fast-moving innovation, you know, changes coming on a very regular basis and so forth. Kind of like where the iPhone was a couple of years ago, I guess. I think the iPhone is the perfect phone for most people, though. I think it's simpler and, you know, more consumer-friendly than the Android stuff, especially around the digital media stuff. And I think that a lot of people use Google services, and it makes sense to use any phone that integrates well with those. And I think iPhone does as well too. But
I'm going to give it a try. As you know, I gave up the iPhone when the Nexus one came out, and I have been very happy with it. I had to have it repaired. I got a replacement. HTC was very quick, by the way.
Oh, nice.
They shipped out a new one. It was easy. I just take the old one, put it in the box, and I have my Nexus one back. And I love this phone. I love its functionality. I think there are things far superior to iPhone, even iOS 4, things like the notification system, the widgets. I think it's much more flexible. I think it's more powerful. And now, by the way, I think I'm not alone, because yesterday at the Droid X announcement, Andy Rubin of Google's phone team, Android team, said that they are now activating 160,000 units a day, which is almost 3 or 4 million a month, and 58,000 apps in the store. I think that you can safely say that Android as a whole has achieved parity with the iPhone.
Well, from those standpoints, I mean, I think there's more to it. It is, I think, superior to the iPhone in certain ways with regards to availability on different wireless carriers and all that. I think where the Android falls short right now is still with digital media content, music and movies and all that stuff. It's not as seamless and nice as it is.
You have to use Amazon. Although Google's doing this, Google Music. It's coming out this summer.
There's no way that they won't get there, but I just, it's still not obvious yet whether either one of these is superior. I think it depends on your needs. And
well, here's the question that's relevant to this show, because I mean that's pretty clear. In fact, Pete Cashmore was saying this yesterday of Mashable on the Google show. It's clear that the and so who said this at the D8? The three, I think it was John Doerr, the three horsemen of the internet now are Google, Apple, and Facebook. These are the riders
of the internet.
Well,
I mean, I don't really consider Apple to be a huge player on the internet.
Not internet. Let's say of the modern tech world.
Yeah. Okay.
But it begs the question whether and why Microsoft is not up there.
I think he just made a mistake. I think a lot of people factor Microsoft out, despite the fact that they have unbelievable numbers on their sides. And this is something you and I talked about. In fact, when I was on the Google show that you do, This Week in Google, talked about some of the statistics around Microsoft's customer base. I mean, people just forget.
Yeah, real people use Windows is what you're saying.
Real people, and not just Windows, but also Microsoft's online services. There are over 500 million active Windows Live IDs worldwide right now. Not Windows Live IDs ever made, like active Windows Live IDs.
Right.
Windows Live.
How many million?
500 million.
Half a billion.
Half a billion.
More than Facebook users.
Yeah. Windows Live Messenger is the most popular instant message service in the world. It has over 330 million users who are actively using it every single day.
Right.
In fact, people on Messenger have logged more minutes online in any given time period than do Facebook users. So, I mean, we have these notions of things that are popular, and of course, these things are popular, but I think Microsoft, by virtue of the fact of being an older company, one that's not fast growing, they kind of get left out of some of these equations when they shouldn't be, because actually they're doing pretty well.
Excellent point.
That's all.
Do you think, though, that the trend is in Microsoft's favor, or is it trending against Microsoft?
Well, it depends on what we're talking about, right? There are things like Hotmail, right, which is dominant for webmail, but and its closest competitor is Yahoo, but I don't think anyone would say anything other than Yahoo's on the way down. Microsoft has more active Hotmail accounts than Yahoo and Gmail combined, but when Microsoft looks at the competitive landscape, what they look at is Google, because Gmail is the one that's on the way up, right? And Gmail is something they should be worried about on a vast number of levels. So I don't know, trending. I mean, there are different trends. One of the things we'll talk about today are Windows 7 sales, right? Very traditional software product. This thing's going gangbusters. They're selling over 25 million copies of this thing every month. Not a dying business by any stretch of the imagination. So I just, who can say? Well, we'll see. I think Microsoft has a chance in many markets where people just don't even really consider them, including mobile, including these online services, right? Cloud computing or whatever, and that's both for consumers and for corporations. And why are they getting written off? I don't know. This is the case for Microsoft is either going to be the next IBM or they're not, and I think there's evidence to both sides of that equation, I guess, but I wouldn't write them off yet.
When you say 150 million Windows 7 licenses, is that and growing, by the way?
Yeah.
Is that what you'd expect? Is that lower than you'd expect? Is that higher than you'd expect?
So it's actually what I would expect personally, but I think the one statistic that's interesting here is that if you look at the milestone announcements they've made, right? They announced at 60 million, they announced at 90, they announced at 100, and now at 150. Actually, Windows 7 sales are accelerating, which is not what you would expect, right? It only took them 2 months to sell 50 million units, whereas the previous 40, it took them 4 months. So that's an interesting trend. Now, that suggests maybe that corporate sales are finally starting to kick in some meaningful way where they never did with Windows Vista. But that's speculation because as of now, we don't have any data to suggest anything stronger than, single-digit sales to the enterprise. So I guess we'll see. But, I think we're talking, we know PC makers are going to ship 300 to 350 million computers this year, and
so that's you're going to get Windows. You're going to get Windows sales, yeah. So in honor of that, I think we should really blow the.
You know what's funny about this?
What is it? What is that?
Literally minutes before we started recording.
Yeah,
I saw a reference to the name of that horn, which is
Vuvuzela.
Vuvuzela. I had to look it up. I didn't know what it was.
Oh, well.
And then I realized the reason I don't know what it is.
You're not watching soccer, my friend.
I'm an American and we don't watch soccer. So.
This is an actual. I just got this, and I want to.
Is it a Commodore horn?
No, it's not a Commodore horn. This is actually from Brian Tristram Williams, New Metro Entertainment in South Africa. This is a vuvuzela that was played at the World Cup.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hopefully you washed out the mouthpiece there, I'm sure.
He said, if you'd asked me the odds, I'd have rated it as highly unlikely the possibility an episode of This Week in Tech would be named after that annoying Mexican, but now traditionally South African stadium horn, but then vuvuzela being a trending topic on Twitter is equally Twilight Zone-esque. As a South African, I cannot allow your gesture to go unpunished. Enclosed, find your very own vuvuzela, complete with a ZA flag.
Nice.
And ZA flag coloring. For good measure, I've included a South African flag to wave for when your lungs are defeated and your lips red, swollen remnants of their former self. Thank you, Brian.
So, I don't want to insult billions of people, but I have to say, you know what the biggest problem with soccer is?
What's that?
It's not that hours
besides the vuvuzela.
Right. It's not that you could summarize every exciting play that occurs in any given game in less than 30 seconds. It's not that.
Well, wait a minute. You could do the same in football.
Or in baseball. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And by the way, I will sit there like a zombie and watch baseball for hours on end. So I sort of vaguely understand that for a certain portion of the population, this is still interesting. But here's the problem with soccer that I just do not agree with and never will. There are way too many ties, and way too many ties that are 0-0.
I agree. Or critical games that are resolved with a penalty shot, as happened at the last World Cup.
I actually don't mind that as long as it's resolved with a score.
Of any kind.
Of any kind. You have to, whatever it is, hockey has a horrible similar thing that they have to do to break a tie.
And by the way, in the chat room, they're telling me I'm playing it wrong.
Nice. It turns out you're blowing the wrong end. And also blowing it from the wrong end.
Now, apparently I'm supposed to add a tone to it. Let's see.
I see. Somewhere, if you have a zoo nearby, an elephant has perked up its ears and will soon respond to your mating call.
This is the sound. And, it conveniently comes with a shoulder strap, so you can carry it. I'm carrying it everywhere with me from now on. I'm Vuvuzela.
Actually, Leo, I have to think there's an app for this.
I can't decide if I'm more excited. There is an app for this, actually, the Vuvuzela app. There's several. But I can't decide if I'm more excited about getting an iPhone 4 or a Vuvuzela. And I think the Vuvuzela is winning. By the way, that's a Retina display right there. Look at the resolution on the side of that. 300 dots per inch. Forget it. That's 1,000,000 dots per inch.
I think that this needs to hang in a place of honor somewhere in this office.
I'm going to put it there. I'm putting it in the place of honor. Thank you very much, Brian. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt, but this just came in. This just in, Paul.
So in the olden days, did people use that when they needed help? You'd be laying on the floor, blowing the horn.
Yeah.
Like,
help me, I can't get up. Yeah, that's exactly
Grandma's
how.
calling again.
Yeah, before they had the medic alert, they'd use this. All right, I'm hanging them up. Ah. All right, there you go. I put them on my my Viking puppet. See, one of the good things about this office is I have things like a Viking puppet that I could hang vuvuzelas on.
That's good.
Okay.
All right.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to act out there. I was just jealous of the incredible sales that Windows 7 has achieved.
No need to be jealous.
100.
I am, by the way, not to get off on a tangent, but
Yes.
I'm a little concerned with Apple and their need to announce every millionth sale of the iPad.
They're now 3.
Can you imagine how annoying it would be if they did that with any of their other products?
Oh, yeah. Oh, we've sold 200,000.
No, like every million now they make
Right.
an announcement. Like, I mean, is this? Look, it's successful. I get it. You know, like what? But why are they so desperate for attention? Like, you know, it's just weird. They've never done that for any other product.
Is a true Microsofty. You know, all this marketing, it just seems so unnecessary.
No. In other words, I'm saying for all of their other products,
Yes.
they've never done this. Why
No, I
this
agree.
one are
I
they
agree.
pushing every million?
I agree.
It's a little odd.
Well, and it's if you put it in perspective, things like the fact that there are 5 million Android phones a month being activated, it's not even that big a number.
Well, it's yeah, sure.
I mean, how many netbooks were sold in that time frame?
Well, I mean, let's do the math.
If you do 80 days, how many netbooks? I mean, 3 million?
I mean, they sell about 2.5 million a month.
Okay, so double that.
Yeah, 5 million.
Yeah, so there you go. And so you're right. It's kind of an odd thing to announce. But it's marketing, dude. I mean, this is their job is to sell more. And how do you sell more? By telling the world we're selling
buzz.
a lot. Yeah,
Well, I mean, I think they're guaranteed sales for a certain time period because they keep opening it to new markets.
right.
So, I mean, they're going to be able to maintain this for a little while. I mean, I think the proof is going to be a little later on.
All right. But and then let me give you the converse argument, which just was said to me from the chat by the chat room.
Which was fed to me. by
Fed to me
my
from
arm.
my army of bigots. How many Windows tablets have been sold total?
I have no idea what that has to do with this conversation. I mean, I know, and I mean that honestly. I don't even. What do you? That's just like the spiteful response. You know? How many Windows tablets? I don't know.
We don't know.
Yeah,
What, is it 3 million?
It's closer to 3. I think would be the accurate way to answer that. No, but that's my point. In other words, it's fine for what it is. Like I don't understand the necessity of these announcements. I mean, it just seems odd. You know, I mean, in the amount of time that they sold, if you were to look at the sales figures for even Macs or iPods or iPhones, the other products that that company makes, they were all dramatically higher than that.
True.
That's all.
And plenty of other products. I imagine the number of Westinghouse
No, I'm just talking
dishwashers
Apple. I mean,
are outselling.
Okay, but just comparing it to Apple, that's all.
Apples to apples,
weird.
as you say. It's marketing.
Okay.
Marketing. That's all it is. It's marketing. Windows, before we get to that, Windows Live Essentials, I want to talk about that. I know you do. God knows. We all want to talk about that. But before we end the Bing Spring updates, which I just like to say.
I know.
Before I talk about that, I would like to tell you about Squarespace.com. I was going to say, you don't use Squarespace, and then I remembered you have that horrible CMS that you use.
You clearly do not use Squarespace.
It's pretty obvious.
Leo, if I could do things over in life, I don't know where I would start, but that would be one of the many things I'd like to do differently.
But you're not alone. There are a lot of people out there who have websites that they have to fight with.
Listen, I hand wrote this thing starting in 1997. I don't remember. Yeah, 97. But really, it dates back before that because it's really just a successor to stuff I was doing previously. I mean, I'm an old guy. I
didn't know you wrote it though.
Oh yeah. No, I wrote. I mean, I created an ASP-based CMS system in the mid 1990s or whatever.
Well, but that was a long time. Okay, now I'm going to take it back. I mean, that's pretty impressive. Here's a guy who wrote his own.
The day it was. What's less impressive is just continuing to use it and never improving it over 15 years almost or whatever.
And now, though, the person you curse is yourself.
I do. There's some self-loathing here. Absolutely.
I can't blame you. I set up my Tech Guy radio show site with a wiki, PM Wiki, which is great for itself, but it's just not good for this. And I am moving it over to Squarespace, and I encourage everybody to take a look at Squarespace. Squarespace is the place to go to where great websites start, and it's hosting as well as a CMS, so it really saves you a lot of time and money. You don't have to install special software or anything. You just go to squarespace.com. In fact, if you go there right now and use the promo code Windows for 15 days, you could try it free. You could also go to squarespace.com/Windows. And, import your existing. I don't think it imports from Paul's CMS, but it
does it. Yeah. Does it do a raw ASP?
I don't think so. Yeah. But it does movable type WordPress, typepad, and Blogger, import and export, so you're never stuck. Beautiful photo galleries, incredible templates, stats, social media plugins that make it very easy to put your stuff on Twitter, Facebook, Flickr, LinkedIn. All without third-party scripts. It's all built in. Squarespace is amazing. Go to squarespace.com/Windows. Click the Examples button to see what people are doing with Squarespace. You'll be blown away. And soon, Tech Guy Labs will be on this Examples site.
I got to get going on this thing. I have other stuff, blogs and whatnot.
This guy's a photographer, and he uses Squarespace's gallery to show off his portfolio. Of course he does. I mean, it's just spectacular.
This is just, it's depressing how nice these things are.
This is the modern world, baby.
I like to look at this.
I know. I don't look at it anymore. But when the time comes to create your own website, I want you to go to squarespace.com/Windows. And hey, if you decide, pricing is very affordable, starts at $8 a month. But if you decide you do want to do a Squarespace site, and I think you might, if you use Windows as the coupon code, you get 10% off, not for 1 month or 2 months or a year or 5 years, for the life of your site, for as long as you're a Squarespace customer. 10% off forever. Squarespace.com/Windows. What are you waiting for? Squarespace.com, the secret behind exceptional websites. So Windows Live Essentials. Now, somebody, you'll be proud of me. Somebody called the radio show. I've actually twice now recommended Windows Live Essentials. Twice in the last 3 days. Twice.
I'll alert Microsoft.
Call them. First, somebody called the radio show, and he said he was having trouble because he was using Windows Media Center, and he couldn't edit the recordings, and he wanted to edit. He says, "Is this copy protection?" I said, "No, I think you could do it." I said, "Do you need Windows Movie Maker?" He said, "Oh, boy, I haven't used that since." I said, "Try it. Go to get.live.com. The new Windows Movie Maker is actually very good." So that was one. And then another guy was saying, "I don't want to use Outlook. What's a good email package?" I was using Outlook Express. And the other guys were saying Thunderbird and stuff. I said, what's wrong with Windows Live Mail? It's excellent. I recommend it. So there. Call Microsoft. Alert the media.
So there.
What is the latest?
Let me check and see if it's up yet. It is up. Oh my goodness. It is up as of now.
I'm resisting. You realize I'm resisting the urge to say that's what she said. I'm gonna hold off.
Having told me that you were resisting the urge means you didn't, but good for you.
Okay.
So yesterday, Microsoft announced that the public beta version of Windows Live Essentials for the new version would be made available sometime today. And actually, as of now, it is available. And you can get it at, oh God, it's got a huge URL, but it is.
So what you mean? Wait a minute. You mean it's just not just like get.live.com and some.
Well, it's a beta. They don't want people to get the beta.
So if I Google, I'm sorry, if I Bing Windows Live Essential Beta.
I don't know what that will do. But you could go to explorelive.com /Windows Live Essentials Beta with a dash between each word.
They really don't want you to go there.
Yeah, they really want to try to make that difficult. Actually, let me.
Can we make this any more difficult? Don't they know about URL shorteners?
I'm curious now. Let me just see if there's an easier way to do this. Nope. Okay, so that's how you have to do it. Sorry about that.
Well, I have just typed that in, and now I am here.
But it is worth it, and I think for people who listen to this podcast, especially, you're gonna want to grab this as soon as possible.
Is this the new Hotmail?
What? No. This is the downloadable applications for Windows. There it is.
Oh. So we're getting the new mail
ribbon-based
messenger
versions of mail, messenger. Well, messenger
ribbon-based, really?
Yeah, everything except messenger. Writer, photo gallery.
I love Windows Live Writer. That's a really great blogging tool.
I love it. Yeah. So my reviews, has been up for some time now. It's public, so you can grab this, and it's all good stuff. I mean, I don't think there's any bad news here, but some interesting stuff across the board, I would say.
I'm told that even though it just went live, there's a little teeny weeny bug. Oh, that's working. They were saying there's no .exe, but there is a .exe. So it's you get the correct thing.
Yeah, it's one of those live installers. So the thing you download will download. Yeah, very quick, and then you have to download the rest of it. You might want to pick through it if you'll see an option where you can get it all or just get parts of it. I think most people listening to this probably don't want the family safety stuff or maybe the Bing toolbar, things like that. But
hey, here's the URL. It's short: windowslivepreview.com.
Does that one have the link for the...
It says the new Essentials beta availability starts today.
Okay, then yes, that would be the best way to get it.
Oh, I see. The Essentials beta will be available later today, but by the time you hear this, it'll be...
No, that's all right. And you click on download. It is. Yeah. That's correct.
Good.
Yeah.
Yay.
There you go.
Yay.
Get it now.
No, not me, because I'm on a Mac. But you're saying that this is past beta. This is ready. This is cooked.
No, it's beta. But I mean, I've been using various beta versions along the way, and it's in good shape. And I'm curious to see if this version is the one I've had for a couple weeks now. But I'm guessing and hoping it's a little bit newer. But even that version is dramatically improved over some of the early stuff. So I think for again, anyone listening to this, I think this is okay for them.
Excellent.
Yep.
I've been waiting for this for a while. And it's still your recommendation the minute you get Windows 7 to go there and get it.
Yep. Oh, the first thing.
And don't go to getlive.com anymore. Go to windowslivepreview.com and get the
get this one.
Yeah, might as well. Why not?
Yep.
Now.
Yes, sir.
The moment we've all been waiting for.
I thought that was the moment we were all waiting for.
Well, that too. We wait for many things here. The big...
No, we can't go there yet.
There's more?
There's other stuff we haven't discussed yet.
Like Windows Live Messenger for my new iPhone? I'm so excited.
Well, see, you make fun of that, but again, several 100 million people use this thing every day.
True.
iPhone's obviously very popular.
True.
Two great tastes that go together. You never know.
You never know.
I think it's, by the way, I think it's fantastic. And for whatever it's worth, there's a new version of the Bing app for the iPhone. Also fantastic.
Oh, I'll have to get that.
Absolutely give that thing a shot. I think the Bing app is great. I mean that honestly. I mean, you don't hear a lot of praise for Bing for whatever reason, but I think the Bing iPhone app is fantastic.
Bing has showed that it has legs. We've seen, remember CUIL.com?
No, Leo, I don't. And I think that's the point. Of course I do.
I mean, so many people have thrown themselves against the rocks of Google and just, Google's shrugged them off.
Well, it's not like Bing is beating down the market share numbers or anything, but I have to say, I agree with you. I think it has legs. And if anything, Microsoft has shown a commitment not just to running with it, but actually improving this thing in ways that make a lot of sense. And I give them some credit for that. I mean, some of the stuff they're doing to Bing is actually very interesting. So, yeah, don't write them off. In fact, again, just purely on the iPhone, as an app for finding things that are happening locally, whether they're movie times or good restaurants or whatever, that Bing app is a fantastic way to do that stuff. And it really works well. But Bing in general, just on the web, on the normal web, whether you have a Mac or a PC or whatever, I think is a fantastic service. I mean, I think if you look at Yahoo search, and I don't do this, but I mean, if you were to do a search on Yahoo or Google or Bing, I think just normal searches, I think they're all pretty comparable. And I think the biggest hurdle that Microsoft has with Bing is getting people to overcome their muscle memory. I think a lot of us just bring up a browser and they type in Google and they go and they don't really think about it. But where Bing really comes out ahead are on these things that Microsoft unfortunately calls vertical searches, which are either decision tree type things like I want to fly to Europe and I'm trying to find the best prices on flights and hotels, or things that I would consider kind of silly, like I want to know about a celebrity or I want to find out information about a band that I care about or something like that. For those types of things, Gmail is, I'm sorry, Gmail. Why did I just say Gmail? Bing is, because I'm looking at the show notes. Bing is fantastic. I mean, it really is impressive. And I think it's one of those things you have to go just look at it. And I think it's going to surprise people.
It's got legs. I mean, I could say that much for it. I mean, it has not bounced off Google. It's survived, and a lot of people use it. And I think what's happening is we're starting to see we're in a post-search era. That just as you say, if you're looking for plane flights, it isn't. I hate the Bing ads. They actually scare me. Because if you don't know it's a Bing ad, once you've seen a few, then you go, oh, it's the Bing ad.
You mean on TV?
The TV ads where
not
people seem like they've been possessed.
But the thing is, once you realize what it is, you say,
funny.
No, actually, it is kind of like that, isn't it? You know.
But it scares me. I'm easily scared. Sure. But I just think,
well,
oh
but
my
if
God.
you go to the website now, the Bing website, by contrast, is very serene.
I agree.
It's very beautiful.
I agree.
And when you do specific kinds of searches, one of the things, like type in something like, flight from San Francisco to Boston or something, whatever it is. One of the nice things, which of course brings up the old, oh, there you go, the flight, there we go.
And
so they have
it's more than just search, and this is kind of what I like.
Sort of, but click on that flight tab at the top. And this is when you see more of this Bing experience, where they're bringing in stuff from a bunch of different places. They're arranging it in a way that's very simple and logical.
Now, here's a mistake. I typed in San Francisco to Vancouver. It did not populate the from and to field. It should have.
That's an excellent point.
Yeah.
So this is brand new, but it's neat because what Bing has in here isn't just sort of search aggregation, which a lot of places have. They also have this price predictor that came from, I think, Faircast, which Microsoft bought. They have those things on the right, like last-minute flight deals and so forth. And it's just a nice little interface, and you're not at Expedia, or you're not at Yapta, or you're not at, you're just within Bing. Like, in other words, if you start to think of Bing as the place to go just for whatever, if you want to find restaurants locally that have gotten good reviews, or my favorite band, are they playing in my area sometime soon, or something like that. That stuff's pretty cool.
Somehow I got William Shatner. Oh, he's negotiating for me. I see.
He's negotiating for you.
He's negotiating. He's getting me a deal. Unable to find flights from San Francisco to Dallas. Well, that's not. Here we go. That was just an extra window that opened. This is cool. So this is almost like Kayak or a service. In fact, with the sliders and everything, it is very reminiscent. That I guess is my point, is that we are getting past the, and that's the point of the Bing ads. We're getting past the notion that you just enter in terms and you get pages to something that's a little smarter and a little more helpful, frankly.
Yeah, I think, Google, because of their background in engineering and mathematics and all that stuff, they love, that we have 1.8 billion responses to this query that you got. But let's face it, most people can only handle the top 2 or 3. And if those don't answer the question, they kind of move on and try again. And they, people get frustrated. And it's amazing what you can search for online. But I think even more amazing is going to be this capability of making it relevant to you and making it understand what it is you're really searching for, context sensitive and so forth. And I think one of the nice things they did with this interface was they cleaned it up a lot and made it very easy to dive in and dive out and so forth. So they have great experiences around shopping, where they tie into reviews and all that kind of stuff. They have great experiences around entertainment, like music and TV shows, movies, and all that. I don't know if it's live yet, but there's an integrated Zune player now built into this thing. So if you want to play music from bands that you're searching for, you can do it right inside the Bing experience. And if you have a Zune Pass, you can play full songs forever. You could just queue up as you search around for your favorite band, it will just start playing. You could have it play whatever collection of music from that band, all from within the experience. So there's some interesting synergies going on here.
Bing Spring 2010 updates.
Yeah. There are a series of them. That's why they released over time. But this week, as of today, I think the 24th, it's all out there, I believe. I think the last missing piece might be that Zune player. I'm not sure if that's in there quite yet, but it will be any time now. If it's
Are there going to be more after this? I mean, is this it? Or
this is it for the spring. I mean, they do these updates on a rolling basis. So I think what they're talking about right now is just a bunch of stuff they did just to kind of clean it up and add some new search experiences and all that. So they just have a bunch of stuff to talk about right now. But, their intention is to update Bing on a rolling basis, which is something that the old MSN used to do a lot of. and the new Windows Live does not do a lot of. And that's one of those things I've kind of complained about, because I think when you want to compete with the Googles of the world on internet time, as we used to say, you have to be on their schedule, not your, every 18 months we're going to roll out some major update. That's not really the way it works online,
I like this. If you go to bing.com/entertainment, this is the...
yeah, so
music,
try music, if that's one. Yeah, and then click one of the play buttons over there on the right in that black box on the top and see if the Zune player comes up.
Okay, so let's see. Lady Gaga, Poker Face. And yeah, now this is on a Mac, and there's the Zune player.
There you go.
Yeah, look at that.
So, yeah, I mean, it's not bad.
Neat. So, by the way, the Bing application and Windows Live Messenger are not available in Norway.
Okay. Yeah, right. Okay.
Apparently U.S. only. We say,
That's true. Yeah, so Messenger and Bing both, I think, are limited locales. And,
US
and over time.
Look at this. Is that neat Zune interface with this sliding?
Yeah, in Silverlight inside the browser.
That's pretty cool. That's
and this is not. And again, this is sort of a side story. But when you think about Zune and Microsoft's intention to move Zune from being a PC player and a portable device to being a service that could hit across a variety of places, that sounds like a little bit of marketing hoo-ha at the start. But then you see it playing on your Mac, and you're like, oh, actually.
Because of Silverlight, I could do this on a Mac.
Yeah, that actually makes some sense.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
This is instead of those silly ads with the demented people spouting search results, they should show some of this.
Sure.
I think
and with the Xbox
great.
360 later this year, you'll be able to get Zune music playback experience on your console as well, and that of course will be out in your living room where it belongs, on your nice stereo system and so forth. I mean, there's a lot of, you can kind of see even Zune, which is charitably called a laughing stock of sorts, I mean, is becoming something very interesting as well.
Well, yeah, it's a platform.
Yeah.
It's how come I can play these for free? I don't even need?
So this is the way it works. You can play an entire song once for free through the Zune player, even if you don't have a Zune Pass. After that, you get 30-second previews. But if you have a Zune Pass, obviously it's unlimited. You can keep playing.
So it'll know. And I do have a Zune Pass. So
you can log in.
Have a Zune.
Yeah,
that's cool. Wow, neat. I kind of like that. And again, I don't know how I would know about that. If you didn't just kind of listen to Windows Weekly or browse around, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a stealth update.
Apparently there are video games there and movie trailers.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't have the statistics off the top of my head, but I believe that right now the biggest market for video games is actually these casual web-based games. Right. Not traditional consoles or PCs or iPods, whatever. They're aggregating all this stuff into a single interface. So you can play them through Bing, and they're
not all Microsoft things.
Almost none of them are Microsoft things. I mean, they're all from all over the web. On the more strict sort of video game playfield scenario, like if you have an Xbox 360 or a PlayStation 3 or PC, whatever, there's also a video game interface. And one of the things they're aggregating into that is all of the reviews and the maps and the cheats and the hints and all that stuff. And the cool thing about that is if you were into any particular game, you've ever searched Google or whatever for, name of game cheats, a lot of those sites that you come up with are, distributing malware, and they don't actually have any hints or cheats. They're just, garbage. So Microsoft is actually filtering all that stuff out and providing access, hopefully, to what are, legitimate, hint sites and so forth. So actually also an excellent resource for, more hardcore type gamers rather than the casual, web-based gamers. Are you playing a game?
I'm sorry, I was playing Bejeweled. I apologize.
But see how quickly you did that.
That was really great. Yeah.
Yep. And by the way, see the little messenger icon? If you were a Windows Live Messenger user, you could log into your Messenger account and invite other people to play with you.
Interesting. People sometimes mock Messenger, but it's because in the U.S., most people use AOL Instant Messenger, but around the world, AOL is hardly used. In fact, I was really surprised when I got to Canada. Everybody in Canada uses Windows Live Messenger or MSN Messenger.
Yeah, some markets for Microsoft are huge. I know in France and Germany, places like that, it has crazy market share.
I would guess that it's actually bigger than AIM everywhere except the U.S.
Yeah, I mean, overall, it's bigger than everything else, certainly.
Yeah. Of course, that always has to do mostly with what your friends are using, but that's why it kind of goes viral, whatever, in a market. That's why Orkut is big in Brazil, because everybody in Brazil is using Orkut.
Absolutely. Yep.
Even though nobody...
Right, and I'm sure the number one IM service in China is some Chinese-based service we've never even heard of.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Well, that's okay. Bing. It's not your father's Google.
Yeah.
I made that up.
Just give it a chance.
They can use it.
All I ask.
That's all we ask. Just give all. Hey, that's the new. If John Lennon were here,
sure.
All
sure
we are saying, just give Bing a chance. All we are saying. You know, again, another ad. Microsoft. Get the vuvuzela. Hotmail is hot. Hot. Gmail is G, but Hotmail is hot.
Well, the point of the next two topics here are just things that I've gotten a lot of email about from people. I just wanted to kind of clarify this. I sort of intend vaguely this summer to do some sort of comparative overview of the various web-based email services, right? Gmail, Hotmail, etc. MobileMe, whatever's out there. I have been using the new Hotmail now for maybe a month, somewhere close to a month.
Is everybody getting that yet? I haven't seen it yet.
No, not yet. It just started rolling out, so it's happening slowly. Microsoft, they can't. God forbid.
Well, they're big. They're big. They're big. They're big.
I understand.
It's not. They say no Apple.
Sure. So, a lot of people are wondering, is it good enough? I mean, are you still using it? Is it better than Gmail, whatever? And the short answer is, if you're listening to this podcast, you don't want to do that. Gmail, I think, is still superior. The thing that's really interesting about this to me is that even for me, I can just barely stand it, and it has to do with some of the inefficiencies that are built into the UI that I don't think a normal person would have too much of a problem with.
Okay.
But the other thing that I'm not seeing, so you're on that's the old Hotmail.
So I'm still old. Okay.
Yeah. The new Hotmail looks a little bit more like Gmail, is kind of one way to put it. But it has the the Exchange Active Sync support, meaning that on a mobile device you can sync it as if it were an Exchange account, which gives you over-the-air push, email, calendar, and contacts, which is fantastic. So if you're using an iPhone of any kind, an Android device, Windows Mobile, whatever, it's actually Windows Mobile has its own proprietary interface for Hotmail, but it has its own. There are built-in efficiencies to that, which is nice.
That's really interesting, because I do use that Gmail Exchange with my iPhone as a way to sync up everything, and so that's great. You can do it with Hotmail too.
Right, and of course, in the new iPhone OS and an iPhone 4, you can have multiple Exchange accounts, which is beautiful. You can mix and match them in the calendar views and the contact views and the email views and all that stuff. That stuff's awesome. So I guess the way I look at this is, if you're an existing Hotmail user, it's about to get way better. If you're an existing Gmail user, I can't imagine anyone switching from Gmail to Hotmail. That's the short, sad answer. And it's not that it's horrible. It's just that it's just not quite as good. It's gotten a lot better than it was. And some of the stuff they're doing in there around the integration with the Windows Live services is actually very interesting and useful even to me. But again, Gmail is very fine-tuned to be efficient and fast, and Hotmail is not.
Right.
I'm also paying for Hotmail, and it's something I've been doing for years. And with Hotmail Plus in the past, one of the rationales for that was you got additional storage, which I never needed, but it takes away the ads, which I've always really liked. And it takes away the ads across almost all of the Windows Live services. So as you go into Calendar or the blog stuff or whatever it is online, SkyDrive, there are these ads everywhere. And when you pay for Hotmail Plus, it actually gets rid of those ads. So I'm actually getting a better experience than most people would. And I think that's really where the key here is. When you're not paying for Gmail and you're not paying for Hotmail, the big difference is going to be those ads. And Gmail's ads are just less annoying. Yeah. Because they're text-based, they tend to be off to the side. They don't blink and flash and do all this other stuff. And the Hotmail ads are actually, they're ads. I mean, they're annoying. And I just think for the majority of people, that's not acceptable. And if you want to get into a discussion about, okay, well, does it make sense to pay extra to get additional functionality? I mean, that's maybe when you start looking at something like MobileMe, because there are certain efficiencies over there as well. Or even if you're going to pay for something, I mean, Gmail, I'm not sure what the benefit is of paying for Gmail, but it seems to me like
You can't
not
pay for. Oh, I guess with the
yeah, sure
apps.
you can through apps. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I think that the not paying for Gmail is going to be the best solution
Yeah.
for most people. So,
I'm
I'm going to review this stuff eventually. I need to quantify this, but I think for people listening to this and people who read my site, I just can't imagine switching to Hotmail. But maintaining Hotmail now as a separate account is going to get a lot easier because of the Exchange stuff.
We started to see switch ads from Microsoft. Mary Jo Foley reported on this to get people to switch from Google Docs, Google Apps to Microsoft's cloud solution. Sure. And I guess you weren't here. This is when Ed Bott and Mary Jo were on for filling in for you. They schooled me on BPOS, which I had never heard of. And I guess maybe in the enterprise space people know about this. But
compared to hosting Exchange on premises, BPOS is a great deal. But you still have to pay for it, and there's no way for you or I as individuals to pay for a single BPOS account at any cost. So it doesn't really matter. It's kind of
it's an enterprise solution, so I don't have to care about it.
It's a business solution. I mean, it's various size businesses, but hosted Exchange is interesting until you have to start paying for it. And at that point, I say, well, why not just get Gmail for free? I don't.
Right.
It's unlimited storage. It's super efficient. The web interface is awesome. You can sync with all your devices. I mean, why would you pay for Exchange? It doesn't make any sense to me. But it's there for those business users that want it. I mean, one of the beautiful things about hosted Exchange or hosted SharePoint or communication server, whatever else they're offering over there or will in the future, is that it's an alternative to, providing that on site yourself and managing it yourself, installing all the updates, keeping all your users happy. I mean, why not have Microsoft do it for you? They know more about Exchange than you do. And whatever your business is, I'm sure you're not in the business of hosting email. So why are you wasting time and resources and money doing that, worrying about that kind of stuff?
Right.
So I think the hosted stuff makes a lot of sense compared to on-premises. I mean, for us, for individuals, it doesn't make any sense, because why would you pay for something that, I mean, hosted Exchange, even from a third party, is fairly expensive. And then you run into storage limits and other things. And
that's why Gmail, for most people still, especially, as you say, for people listening to this show, is the right solution.
Yeah, that switcher thing you were talking about, we're in a weird place right now because Google's email and calendaring is better. But Google's office productivity stuff up on the web is not better. Right. It's awful. Yeah, so Microsoft has the better office stuff. They don't have the better email calendar when you factor in either it's free and it's Hotmail, which is not as good, or you pay for it and it's Exchange, which I guess would be okay, but then you're paying for it. So it's, it's kind of however you slice it, I think Gmail comes out ahead for individuals.
Paul Thurrott is here. We're talking about Windows and the latest Windows news on Windows Weekly. Paul's the editor-in-chief of the SuperSite for Windows, winsupersite.com, and we're going to find out why he didn't get out of bed. I guess we already found that out this morning.
Did we talk about it?
I think we kind of did. I can't remember if we did that on the show or before the show.
Yeah, who knows?
Who knows? I'll ask somebody who's listening. We also want to talk about your most asked question of the week.
Oh, yeah, by far.
Which actually ties to the best tip you ever gave.
I agree.
Yeah. So we'll do both of those in just a second. Before we do either, however, I want to take a little break for a visit from Carbonite Pro. Ho, 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 Carbonite. Oh, no, that's Santa Claus. Carbonite Pro has nothing to do with Christmas. Carbonite Pro is enterprise backup for small businesses. Now, don't get all scared and then worried about this. You know Carbonite. It's a great consumer product. I talk about it all the time. Automatic off-site backup using SSL and strong AES 256-bit encryption to protect your privacy. Easy to restore, because with Carbonite, all you have to do is get online on any computer and you can get that file back. If you're using Carbonite on Windows, especially good because it has versions going back, I think, 90 days. I mean, there's a lot of reasons to love Carbonite. In fact, so many that businesses started using Carbonite for their backup. And that's when the folks at Carbonite, my good buddy David Friend, the CEO there, said, wait a minute, we really ought to do a business version. And Carbonite Pro was born. More affordable than the consumer Carbonite for many users. Prices start as low as $10 a month. And it is a great solution. Now, you can try this absolutely free in your small business by going to carbonitepro.com. You're going to get 30 days free. And they really walk you through. I was very impressed with the interaction. I signed up for the free version. just to see. And they really walk you through it. They give you a lot of help and support. So it's a great way to test Carbonite. This is for Windows only right now, but most businesses, that's what you got. Very affordable. I'll give you an example. If you've got 8 computers, 5 gigabytes per computer, for a total of 40 gigs, just $25 a month. $25 a month. If you've got 18 computers with 5 gigs, just $50 a month. So it's actually more affordable the more computers you have. This is why business and end users trust Carbonite for your backup. Just do yourself a little favor. Think about what would happen if you lost your data in your business. I know we'd be out of business. I think many businesses would. How do you recreate that data? You can't. By paper, pencil, you got to back up. CarbonitePro.com is the way to do it. Absolutely free for 30 days. No, just go to CarbonitePro.com. You don't even need a credit card to do this. CarbonitePro.com. We thank them for their support of Windows Weekly. So you talked about, I don't know, it was 2 weeks ago that you talked about the TechNet deal and what a great deal it is? Last week. All right. It's confusing people, apparently.
Yeah, 150 emails later.
Jeez.
I feel the need to clarify.
Okay.
It's funny, I appreciate that people are trying to do the right thing, right? People look at this and they say, well, wait a minute. It's $200. You're telling me I get 10 licenses for all these different programs. I can install it on all these different computers. What? It seems like it doesn't make sense, right? Why would they allow this? And then people will pick through the licensing agreement and try to, figure it out. They're really not saying I can use this, this way, right? It's for evaluation purposes only, and yada yada yada. Guys, look, it's there. If you want to buy it, buy it. If you don't. I'm not suggesting that you pirate software. According to the license agreement, you're not supposed to share it with other people, including people in your own family. It's for evaluation purposes. A lot of people are trying to pick apart what the term evaluate means. Does that mean I can't actually use it? No, that's how you evaluate software. The point of TechNet, before and since this standard subscription appeared, has always been the same. It's a way for IT pros to evaluate Microsoft software, whereas in the past, if they had to go buy this stuff, they would just never be able to do it. It's a way to learn about stuff that you may be able to use in your job during the day to advance your career or make your workplace more efficient or whatever it is. They understand that people will, in fact, take this thing home and install copies on their kids' computers and do stuff like that. They get it. Because obviously, if they did, if they didn't want that to happen, they would try to prevent it in some way. The fact that this more, valuable version of it, this less expensive version, has appeared just in the past couple of weeks, suggests that this, they're fully aware of what the point of it is. So I'm just, you're going to do it or you're not. The way I look at it is a lot of the people who listen to this podcast, read my site, are probably IT pros. They're involved in the computer industry in some way. This is a way to further your career. It's a good way to install software on multiple machines. I had a couple of people ask me, well, what do you use this? Do you have a TechNet subscription? Right now, I do not, but I have in the past. But what I have right now is an MSDN subscription.
Yeah, you don't need TechNet.
Because I have MSDN. It's the same thing. Right. It's the same exact program. The download interface is exactly the same. You download the software, and I put it on all of my computers. That's what I do use. Before anyone gets into a kind of a snit over whether Microsoft is upset about this, Microsoft provides me with an MSDN subscription. So they know exactly what I'm doing with it. That's the point of it. It is to become familiar. It is to gain access, in some cases early, to new versions of software, like home server or whatever it is that you may not be able to access otherwise. So that's the point. So, whatever. There is a list of the software that's available, and it compares the two different versions, standard and professional. Yes, which used to be plus, I think. The differences are very subtle. In fact, I think I surmised last week that, the standard version would have every single edition of Windows 7 except for Enterprise, and that is in fact the case, because the Enterprise version of Windows 7 is a volume license version, is aimed at the Enterprise and so forth. But it has all of the other product versions, The list is a little out of date. It lists Office 2007, does not list Office 2010. But I know that Office 2010 is on TechNet because they announced it was a couple of months ago. In fact, TechNet was one of the very first places to get Office 2010. And one of the nice things about about a TechNet subscription is that over the lifetime of the subscription, which is 1 year, if a new version of any of the software comes out, you get that version. So if you were running Windows Vista through TechNet and Windows 7 came out, you got access to Windows 7 immediately. That's the way it works. The software doesn't expire magically. A year from now, all of your running instances of Windows 7 aren't going to stop working or whatever. You're not going to have to reactivate it. It doesn't work that way. They literally are retail licensed versions of the software. They're designed to be evaluated, yes. But the point here is that you're learning about software so that you can advance your career and, again, help your workplace. And that's the theme, for TechNet. That's the point. So just as the supposed theme for MSDN is that you can gain access to Microsoft's platforms so that you can develop software that will run.
Developer, yeah.
So it's not it's like they're trying to make it complicated or something. I mean, you're either going to do it or you're not. And again, I just want to be very clear. I'm not suggesting that anyone, pirate software with this, that they provide it to their friends or anything like that. I mean, people will do what they do, but Microsoft understands what they're doing with this. It's not like somebody unleashed this and, somewhere up the chain of Microsoft, someone's going to say, "Oh my God, what did you do? You gave away all our software." The plan is in place for a very specific reason. So if you fall into that IT pro category and you would like to learn about Microsoft software, one of the ways you would learn about it is to install it on multiple computers and see how it interacts with each other. This is a great way to do it. So I just don't read too much into it. It is what it is. And the license does very specifically say, okay for home use. They know you're using it at home. Just don't freak out about it.
Don't freak out, man. Just be chill.
You used to be cool.
Chill, man. Chill.
Yeah.
It's okay, man.
It's amazing to me how much email I've gotten about this. People literally are saying, this can't be possible. This is not possible.
Believe me, they're making enough money off of you.
Well, okay. But I'm just saying, it's there for a reason, and if you're going to use it for that reason, there's no reason,
Use it appropriately. But yeah. So I think we did talk about I don't know, chat room, did we talk about this?
The reason that I don't need an iPhone, the real reason, is I have this.
You got a kin. That's so little and
one
cute.
Of these 6 or 7 people.
It's a bar of soap phone. So
I'm gonna, when I get to Colorado, I'm gonna see if I can skip this thing on a lake.
Yeah, I bet you could.
That will be.
It reminds me of the Motorola Pebble.
That will be how I get rid of it.
Yeah. Well, do you like it?
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, I think what kills this, and I'm not a genius for pointing this out, many people have said this, the data plan is as expensive as any smartphone. And if you're going to, that's where the real cost of a smartphone is.
Is it not a smartphone?
No, it's more of a feature phone.
Oh.
Because it doesn't have an app store. There's no way to add apps to it. I mean, even a Zune HD has apps. Right. Some apps, a limited selection of apps. This thing has nothing other than what comes on it. So I like a lot about this. I think that the way they handle the interaction between the media that you have on the phone and the cloud and the way they back up stuff for you automatically to a limitless, storage space in the sky is neat. It takes high quality pictures, whatever that's worth, and video. It's small and cute and all that stuff. But I think the Achilles heel here is the cost of the data plan is too much.
Yeah, well, if you don't get apps, yeah.
Just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Your kids cost you money? Surely that's not possible. How could that be?
Last Thursday, as we were recording the podcast,
yes,
my kids were getting out of school for the year. Okay. And in the first 48 hours that these kids were home, they almost managed to cost me over $1,000. Almost. So the first one happened Thursday. That was the day the new Xbox arrived. Now how
do you like that, by the way?
I love it.
The Slim.
And, yeah, it's great. It's in the living room now.
Quiet?
I've actually replaced a bunch of other devices. We're using this thing going forward. It's nice. Quiet. By the way, the thing runs hot, but as an Apple TV owner, I think you may appreciate the fact that it does not run as hot as an Apple TV. So it's got a big exhaust kind of port on the top. You want to make sure that's open to the air or whatever.
Right.
But it is quiet. It's not silent, but it's super quiet. And I have very sensitive hearing. I don't hear it, and it cranks up a little bit when you're playing a game. But so does a PlayStation 3. Sure. That's acceptable.
It's normal.
But for playing content, movies and music and all that, great. And the Netflix stuff is fantastic. It's a nice interface.
All I care about, I mean, I like the Xbox 360 a lot. I just want it to be quiet.
Right,
And not
so
red ring.
Yeah, this is it. And I guess it won't red ring either because they got rid of the rings. But apparently the way it works is if it's going to overheat, it actually just shuts itself down and it tells you that it did it to save itself. And once the heat goes down, you can use it again and it doesn't actually die like before, like the things were committing suicide essentially. But the thing is, so here's the thing. I'm out with having dinner with a guy who was in from out of town. And I get a text message from my son who says, the Xbox came, can I open it? And we were just finishing up, and I wrote back and I said no, and then I put the phone down, and I thought, that's an odd request. My son has never tried to open anything, or why would he do that? He knows I get stuff for work. I need to take pictures of it, and I'm waiting for the check to come and all that, and I'm thinking about it, and I looked at the phone again, and I realized he had sent this message maybe 20 minutes earlier. So I called home, and I said, he answered, and I said, you didn't open the Xbox, right? And he says, yeah, I did. And it was just the weirdest spaz. I don't know what he was thinking, And so I said, okay. I said, stop touching everything now. I needed to take pictures of that, as you know. Just leave it alone. I'm going to come home now. So I come home, and he tried to package it back up. He actually, which is even worse than not touching it. He actually tried to. He was taping the box. Oh yeah, it's not cute because in his excitement to open this box, he ripped the top of the box to shreds to open it like an animal would, like digging into something. Like he didn't cut the tape and just open it.
He's fixing it now.
He destroyed it, And so I kind of unleashed on him. I mean, I couldn't believe he did this. I mean, there's no precedent for this at all. I just couldn't believe it. I was disappointed that he opened it and shocked by that. And then when I saw the condition of the box, it just didn't make sense, But I guess he was so excited to see this.
Of course, he was excited.
Xbox. I said, Mark, I need to take pictures of this and write about it. That's how I pay for this purchase. I mean, you've kind of ruined this. I mean, it's kind of bizarre. So anyway, okay. So the next day.
So there's more. Oh boy.
So whatever. The next day. Well, so the next day comes, and then on a more positive note, I periodically look at my kids' computers to see, how they're doing and what they're doing, and if there's any weird stuff on the computer and all this stuff, and I run scans and everything. And my kids' computers are so clean. There was nothing. I mean, absolutely nothing going on with their computers.
Good.
They had a couple of updates I needed to install, nothing serious, but there were no toolbars, there were no malware, no weird, things attached to their browsers. I mean, very, very clean. And they use their computers.
That's
very
impressive.
Really impressed by
Good
that. So,
kids.
Yeah, so I had this kind of turn around the next day. I'm thinking, okay, they're not completely idiotic. I mean,
they're just kids.
Yeah. All right. Then the next day comes. So I worked all weekend and, to catch up because that guy was in town and he had left. So I was, catching up with work. And at some point during the day, on Sunday, I checked my email. And as the emails kept popping in, I see these emails from the iTunes store, bing, 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 one at a time. And it's like 5 or 6 of them. And I click on the first one and it says it's a receipt for some purchase, which is not unusual. I mean, I buy little apps and things here and there. But it was for, I think the first one was like $149. And like what? $149.
What?
And I look at the next one, and the next one's, for some similar amount, I don't remember the exact, I wrote this down somewhere, but some, one was for like $189.
What the hell are they buying?
Yeah. $159 two more times, $172.
What?
And as I saw the first couple, I saw the name of the game, and I called my kids into the room.
It's not Farmville, is it?
No, but as these things are coming in, I'm saying, do you realize you have cost us like $300? And I said, no, wait, it's like $500. And just at this moment, my wife's coming in the door from wherever she was. I said, this is like almost $900. And they're looking at me and they're trembling. And I said, what the hell? How could you have done this?
What are they playing?
And, all right, so I'd actually forget the name of the game, but it's like a fish tank game.
Oh, yes.
What they were doing was buying in-game.
Yes.
Fish something? I don't know.
It's very expensive. You were not the first person to be bit by this.
Well, so here's the thing. Apparently, what I don't understand is how they did it.
Because you're logged in and you just press a button.
Well, I logged in to buy the game that was free, which I did do.
Of course, the game's
But then over
free.
the next 24 hours, they racked up $880 in charges. Buying
They must know
like,
your
fish
password.
and they claim they do not, but I have no idea how this happened. I have my password is humongous too. Blows my. So I tried to get my wife went and looked at the bank, and they weren't able. They didn't have the charges in yet, or whatever. And of course, you can't talk to anyone there. We bank at Bob's Bank, whatever, Bob's local bank. So I said I'm going to have to try to call Apple. And Apple has a customer service line, but and they'll actually call you back. They actually have a pretty decent thing, but they don't have it for the iTunes store. So I said, well, I have an iPod Touch, and they do it for iPod Touch, and the kids were playing it on an iPod Touch. I said, why don't I give this a shot? And that actually worked. As long as it was under warranty, which it was, I was able to get through, and they called me back. I mean, within seconds. It was amazing. I then spent about an hour and 40 minutes on the phone. And these guys were great. I mean, as you know, that is the game, yeah.
Yeah.
What was it called?
Touch fish.
Touch fish, yeah.
And, a bundle of 6,000 fish is just $100.
Yeah. So most of the charges were $150 and up.
Yep. They're buying the big bundles.
Well, of course, because they thought this was play
They thought
money.
it was free. They didn't know.
Yeah. Now, to their credit, I mean, Apple, the guy from Apple said, he had to get in touch with the iTunes store guy, and I had to be on hold for a long time. But man, they reversed the whole thing.
Really?
And I was really, really impressed by that, and talked to his boss and to praise the guy and everything. I mean, it was really impressive. But I said to my kids, I said, when I think of the times that people have stolen from me, our credit card number was stolen when we went to Ireland one year. I got pickpocketed one time.
There was that gypsy who took your phone.
Was stolen.
Yeah.
Lisbon. I said, when you add all those things up together, somehow you two little geniuses were able to steal more from me than all those people combined. Congratulations.
Come on, Paul.
I said, in the future, when someone asks me if I've ever met a master thief, I'm going to say, yeah, they sleep upstairs.
You're traumatizing.
Well, I said to Kelly, my daughter, I said, how much? I said, you get an allowance. I said, how much do you make every week in allowance? And she said, $8. I said, you understand it would take you over 2 years to pay me back the amount of money you just stole. Right? You understand that? 2 years.
Oh, Daddy Paul had a bad week.
Oh, it was unbelievable. And I'm thinking, these kids just got out of school.
Yeah.
Like this, 2 days into this vacation. This is going to be an unbelievable time.
I won't tell you about the fight Abby and I had. We're ordering her laptop for college. Yeah. And I said, she said, well, can I do it? I said, yeah, but we want to get the student discount and,
yeah.
So she's going through it and she's saying, well, how much should I get? 8 gigs of RAM? I said, no, 4 gigs is plenty.
yeah.
How big is the hard drive? Should I get a solid state drive? No, I get a 500. So we got through the thing and she said, oh, you're logged in, and press buy.
Oh, and then lost like $400, whatever it is.
No, $2,000.
Well, I mean, versus the educational.
Oh yeah,
person.
you're right. It'd be about $200, and I could cancel it. And I have, in other words, I have deep sympathy. It was the same thing. I said, Abby, if you got a job now and you made $10 an hour and you worked 40 hours a week for the next 6 weeks, we would be even.
Yeah, right. And my wife and I beat this to death. Anytime any cost of anything came up, we would say, do you know how many times?
Yeah. Like
we had, because that guy was in from out of town, we had a lobster, and we said, that lobster dinner. I said, we could have lobster every week for the rest of the year and not pay $880. Just throwing, and after a while, it's like, Dad,
I get it. The real truth is, I think that they're never going to understand the value of $1. Just forget it.
Well,
It's
I can tell you
hopeless.
this. Their iPod Touches are completely locked down now.
Oh, are they?
In one of those, the barn door is open and
A
now.
little too late now. Well, you got the money. You're all right. You don't know anything.
Well, right. But I don't, I mean, I just don't want to go through that again. That was
No, I
stupid.
don't blame you. Jeez. That's good to know. And this touch fish, I've seen other stories about tapfish and
Really?
people who,
Really?
oh yeah, this is
insidious.
It's insidious. And I think Apple should probably kill this thing. It is, but lots of people and kids have lost money because it's not clear. You're right. You're not clearly spending real money. And
The
it
guy
is
said,
real
he said to me
money.
something like, he says, well, everything you purchased is still there, so you can actually keep using it. And I said, oh, no. I can assure you.
Deleting the app.
It's already been deleted.
Yeah.
They're not playing this game ever again.
I mean, what kind of game would it be worth $50 to get some fish in a fake fish tank? I mean,
I would like to know how it's possible to spend $189 in a whack on an online in an in-game purchase. What are you kidding me?
Yeah, it really? This is kind of
absolutely insane.
And this company must know. I think that I wouldn't blame your kids. That
was one of the big questions I got from people is, was it, like a kids game? And it's like, yeah. It's very clearly aimed at kids.
Yeah. No, they got you were scammed. I think it's kind of a scam. That's a little sleazy to have a game where you buy fake fish. I mean, they're not even real. For more than it would cost to buy a real fish.
It's one of the many conversations we had. We could have bought an entire aquarium full of real fish and not spent $880.
Yeah, exactly.
Unbelievable.
It's crazy. Yeah.
I said, you guys both have netbooks. Your 2 netbooks combined are little more than half of $880. You could buy 3 of these
This
at
is
least.
a teaching moment, Paul. Just think of it that way. You have had a teaching moment here.
Oh, I was lucky I didn't have a coma moment.
All I can say is it's very lucky that you and the kids won't be stuck in a car for the next few days, because it would be very painful.
So it's worse than that, because I'm going to be stuck in the car with my dad.
Oh.
You think my kids don't have common sense.
Oh, dear.
This is going to be...
You should start a Twitter account.
I have a Twitter account. I'm going to post to Facebook.
No, a special Twitter account. Crap my dad says on a trip to Durango, Colorado.
Right. I guarantee you, I'm driving cross country starting today, actually.
That's nuts.
And the reason I'm doing it is because my dad supposedly is going to retire to Durango, Colorado. He is. Yeah, he's not going to do that. But we're going to move some of his stuff, and he's got a camper for some reason that he'll never use or need. That needs to be pulled over there, and it's a lot of really dumb rationalization for this. It's going to be amazing, but I'm going to try to have a good time, obviously. And but when we do the show next week, I'll still be there, so I'll do that from Durango, I guess.
Well, speaking of dumb rationalizations, because of this trip, you're not going to do the Windows 7 feature or tip of the week this week. You're just gonna,
and the reason,
going to punt.
But actually, this is tied into my kid thing, because I was so far behind last weekend with the guy being here, and then the stuff happened with my kids. I mean, this thing on Sunday ruined, I mean, like 3 hours.
Sure, blame your kids for your...
I literally couldn't get anything done. I was sitting there like, my wife just walked in and said, "Here's some wine. You need to sit down and relax." Like, I was so freaked by this.
Yeah.
And I just know that because I will be working all week, and I'll be working normally, but normally I put the stuff up over the weekend, and I'm never going to be able to do it. I mean, the heavy driving is going to be Friday, Saturday, and probably Sunday, but I just don't want to overbook myself given the driving. So this week,
I think we could pretty much at this point say that having kids is a terrible idea.
Oh, I don't recommend this. In fact, for people who are in, I'll tell you why. And it's not because I don't love my children.
No, I love them, and that's part of the problem.
No, but if you're into technology and you want to be able to go stand in line and buy an iPod or an iPhone or whatever it is the day it comes out, having children is the last thing you should ever do.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's where the money disappears, as if in a toilet, to just never come back again. So if you want to be able to afford that stuff and just make that happen, don't have the kids.
Never have kids.
That's the key to the technology lifestyle right there. You can afford one or the other. I mean...
Hey, Paul.
Listen.
Wait till they're 18 and you got to send them to college, Paul. You ain't seen nothing yet.
I know. If I had bought an iPhone today, it would have cost $500, right?
Yeah.
Less or a little more than half of the $880 my kids almost cost me this week.
Oh, stop! You got to stop doing that math thing you're doing. You just make yourself nuts. I did it on the cost of college. $360 a class. Not a semester.
I understand. Yeah.
Per lecture, per going a day, $360 per class. That's how much.
Is that a public school or a?
That's a private school. Yeah, you don't want to go to college anymore. So put it this way: your kids.
You should send it. Why don't you send it to iTunes U?
They bought a morning at college. Is what your kids bought.
Yes, they did.
It was just a morning. at college. That's it. Not the afternoon.
No, honestly, knowing my kids,
No
had
meals.
they spent a morning at college, they still would have been playing that damn game anyway. So it's not like they actually lost anything.
You know, maybe if they turn into tap fishermen instead of going to college, you'd save money. Too bad you can't make a living with virtual fish.
Even on regular fish these days.
It's true. It's true. So let's jump right to audible.com. What do you say? And then we'll get our.
Okay.
Just think how many books you could buy.
Yeah, well, I should have had a parenting book recommendation this week. You know?
Yeah. How not to kill your kids.
I'm usually.
Paul, don't.
You know, usually.
I know completely. I am so sympathetic, and it just gets worse, Paul.
I don't want it to get worse.
It's just going to get worse. Because right now they're still young and cute and cuddly.
Oh,
they
barely,
still love you, but
barely.
barely. I understand, but they still are.
Yes.
In a few years, they're going to turn into demons from hell.
Yeah,
And they're still spending your money at a random rate.
Sure.
They hate you, and you know what? You don't stop loving them. So it's like, it's so painful.
I have too many relationships like that, Leo.
Yeah, it's the story. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, well.
Paul, it's geeks who love too much.
Wow.
And the children who hate them.
Windows Weekly. We'll get in touch with our
We love
parents.
too much, Paul.
Yep.
That's really what's wrong. We care too much.
This sounds like something a serial killer would say. You know, I didn't want to hurt you. I just love you too much.
I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you so much I want to eat you up.
Yeah.
Parents say that to their kids. That's creepy.
I've heard someone say that. In fact, I won't embarrass this person, but someone actually once told me that my kids were so cute, they could just eat them up. And I said, I just want you to mark the calendar because today is the last day you ever had a chance of babysitting my children. You weirdo.
There's a reason why Hansel and Gretel is hundreds of years later still a classic. Come here, kids.
Oh, boy.
Audible.com. Let's talk about Audible.com. A great place to get audiobooks. Yeah, they got parenting guides. A little late for us. But
I should be looking this up right now. Anyway, go on. I'm sorry.
How not to spank your children.
Right. Tough love. There's going to be a tough love.
Tough love. Oh, I bet there is. Right, let's just check. Tough love.
You know it's there.
Oh, of course it is. Tough Love, a Summer's short story 4. Wait a minute. This is like, oh my God. These are romances.
Yikes.
No, I'm not going to show that. Oh, no.
See, that would stress me out even more than my kids.
Oh dear. Don't search. Do not go to audible.com and search for Tough Love, okay? Just pretend we didn't even mention that. Now, there are other things on audible.com. I want to send you there right now. Look, there's 75,000 books, and yes, they've got romance, they've got mysteries, they've got science, technology, sci-fi, self-development, books for teens and kids. They've got fiction and nonfiction. Audible would be great before you get in that car today. Download like Bud Not Buddy. What a great, there's so many great books on Audible. Did you read Bud Not Buddy? Isn't that a great book? Loved that book. We read that. I have some kids in the studio. We read this when we were traveling to Montana. I mean, we really didn't read. We listened. And it's great to have a great audio book. This is 3.5 hours the kids can listen to and the adults enjoy, and then you could talk about. It's a really great way for long trips. Holes. Did you guys read Holes? Have you read that yet? Oh, you will. It's a great book. This is a classic, Louisa Carr. Another classic kind of young adult book that it would make a great Audible book for in the car. But you've got something for Dad.
I do.
And you know what? I love this guy's stuff, and I haven't heard this new one.
So this is the new book by Alan First,
What did he write?
Spies of the Balkans. He wrote Spies of Warsaw.
Yeah.
I want to say it was the name. Yes, The Spies of Warsaw. Yeah.
Red
He
Gold.
writes book. This guy's fascinating to me. I love the World War II stuff, and most of his books take place in World War II. But it's not just World War II. It is the time in World War II leading up to when it became obvious the Germans were going to be defeated. So in other words, all of his books take place when it seemed like the Germans were winning.
It was still up in the air.
Going to take over Europe.
Yeah.
And he visits different countries in each of these books. So this one, a lot of it takes place in Greece. Spies of the Balkans, and obviously in the former Yugoslavia, whatever. But he has these recurring places, like a cafe in Paris that appear throughout his books. But I think the thing that's fascinating about these books to me is how they all take place in the same time period, right? When everything was just up in the air. No one knew what was going to happen. Everyone was fearful for their lives and what was going to happen next. And I guess he also does this thing where, and I haven't seen this yet personally, but apparently there's some very minor characters that kind of make their way from book to book to make it into sort of a cohesive universe as well. So Spies of Warsaw was fantastic. And so this is one for the trip. I still haven't started this. I bought this one last week, but then I thought, if I can convince my dad, we could listen to this. And
this is a great one to listen to with Dad.
Yeah.
And I guess your kids probably put their headphones on anyway and listen to music, right?
Yeah. Oh, they're not going, so it's just me.
Oh, you're not bringing the kids.
No. Oh, I would never do that to my kids. No,
it's just you and Dad.
Yeah.
Oh, you got to get this for that.
Yeah.
Then you wouldn't have to talk to him for the whole trip.
That's my plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a must.
Yeah, exactly. He's going to say, so what do you want? I go, hold on.
We're listening. Chapter 2. Yeah, no, this is good. Spies of the Balkans. I love Alan First's stuff.
Yep.
And I haven't listened to it in audio. I have to, is Daniel Garrow. Let's listen to it. Just I want to hear how the reader sounds. That's one of the nice things you can do. You can always go to your Audible.
First in Greek, then with the word douan. On the upper floor, the port captain occupied a corner office,
Oh,
the sort of
I
office
love
that
this.
had over the years become a home. Warm in the chilly weather, the still air scented with wood
You can
smoke
listen
and
to any
cigarettes.
book before you
One of
buy,
the
which I
port
recommend.
cats
Some of the readers from the older books are not as good. Almost all the new stuff is recorded by the best, most talented actors that anywhere. Audible is near Broadway, so they bring Broadway actors in, and they bring the best readers.
Piously across his ample stomach.
This guy's good. I can't wait. Spies of the Balkans by Alan First. Daniel Garrow is narrating, and you can get it for free. Now, there's a special deal for people like you, Paul. So, and in addition to the gold account, audible.com/windows, now through July 2nd, if you haven't tried Audible yet, you can download a free audiobook. You don't even need a credit card. Audible.com/summer. They call it the Summer Big Listen. There are 8 books there, free to download for non-members. No credit card, no joining. Just try it. Pick a free book from the 8. I don't know what the 8 are because it's not active yet. It starts on the 25th and it goes through July 2nd. Audible.com/summer. Oh, here they are. Wait a minute. Oh, good stuff. Let the Great World Spin. David Sedaris live at Carnegie Hall. Dead Until Dark. Outlander. That's like 40 hours. The Time Traveler's Wife. Highly recommended. I just finished it. Loved it. Lion's Game, Something Borrowed, and a 3-book bundle for the kids, Winnie the Pooh. Isn't that good?
Nice.
Yeah, so if you want to sign up for service and get 2 free books, first download your free Summer Big Listen book at audible.com/summer, then go to audible.com/windows and get the gold account, and now you'll have 2 books for the summer. Now that's a good deal. Audible.com/summer and audible.com/windows. Now we got it.
Cool.
Now we got it. Now, Paul, I'm sorry about that.
It's all right.
Let us talk about, what do you got, some software for us here?
I do. The first software pick is the previously discussed Windows Live Essentials. I think everyone listening to this will probably want to check that one out. The other one, I've just forgotten about it. I've been meaning to mention this, I think, for a week or 2 now, but Andrew Hudson had written me about this originally. It was featured in the New York Times as well.
TechCrunch 50, or what TechCrunch, whatever they call the new thing.
Yeah,
picked it as the big app of the conference.
Yeah, it's interesting. I still have it running on my main PC. I mean, what it does is it runs at boot time. It analyzes what is running when your computer boots. It gives you a report of how long it took to boot, but then it gives you this graph showing you all the stuff that happened during boot, and it breaks them down into different categories. There's stuff you can definitely get rid of because they're known to be worthless. There's a sort of a gray area in the middle where it's like, well, you might want to look at these. You never know. And then this is some stuff over on the right that you just can't do anything about it. It literally is stuff that has to happen. But a lot of the people who use this have reported dramatic decreases in boot time after working with the recommendation.
This is free?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's called Soluto. It's in beta, soluto.com, SOLUTO.com.
Like solution without the shun.
There you go.
Or the...
And it's got a little happy face power button logo, which is kind of cute.
This is neat.
Yeah.
And, wow. They're doing some other stuff, too. Yeah, one that TechCrunch disrupt. And I guess the deal is that it's not, they're going to use crowdsourcing.
Right.
For some of the answers.
Right. Which is smart. In the way that an anti-malware type solution would almost use something similar to say, we think this is suspicious to what's going on out there in the world, and just seeing how people are reporting it and so forth.
Right. Very cool.
Yeah.
Soluto, SOLUTO.com.
Very nice.
Very nice. Paul, don't injure your kids, and whatever you do, don't.
I think some time apart will be good for all of us.
And don't clobber your dad either.
I'll try.
You should. You know what you really want to do? You say, Dad. Of course, we didn't have as a kids the opportunity kids today have to spend hundreds of dollars using a handheld device.
No, can you imagine? I would order a collection of encyclopedias. When some guy came to the
I'm sure there's stuff you've done, but nothing could really meet that standard. But you might ask Dad, did I ever drive you crazy?
Sure.
Because I'm sure you did. I'm sure we all
he could
did.
be dreading this even more than I am.
Probably is.
It's kind of hard to say. But.
My friend Paul Thurrott is the editor-in-chief of the SuperSite for Windows Win, SuperSite.com. He's also the news editor, Windows IT Pro, the author of Windows 7 Secrets, soon Windows Phone Secrets. And he joins us every week. We do this show Thursdays at 11 a.m. Pacific. That's 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 1800 UTC at live.twit.tv. You can watch this happen. You can watch us make the sausage, and today it really was quite a bit sausagey. I'm getting the now traditional closing horn for the show.
The closing of the games.
At the end of the show, every show from now on. That's the end. That's the end.
And with that flabby flatulence, we end another Windows Weekly.
Have a great trip to Colorado. I'll talk to you in Durango next week.
Sounds good.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I think that's what it's supposed to sound like. Isn't it?